Graffiti beef is a lot like a school play. Bunch of kids going back and forth, a lot of drama, and a few onlookers. Most of the time it's just handbags and internet shit talking, but at times it can get real. Real, or at least publicised enough for people to think things are actually getting serious. Nevertheless, most like to see rivalries kept to the streets and not in the comments section of Instagram. So in saying that, explain today is 5 infamous graffiti rivalries / beefs. Number 1, Banksy vs King Robbo. London OG writer King Robbo had been putting in work for years, mainly bombing trains with destructive throws, but also colourful pieces. He was well respected and known throughout the British graffiti community, so when a young Banksy ran into him at a bar and claimed to have never heard of him, it led to an altercation and eventually Banksy getting slapped. In retaliation to this incident, Banksy began to creatively diss King Robbo's work in his typical street art style, the most provoking of which was depicting a worker wallpapering up one of Robbo's pieces from 1985. In Robbo's eyes, this was an ultimate sign of disrespect, and Robbo fought fire with fire, adapting some of Banksy's work on the streets to expose and humiliate him. In doing so, a lot of opportunities opened up for Robbo, in which he was able to showcase his graffiti and art in galleries. But tragically, a few days before his big premiere, an incident outside his house left him in a coma, and he later passed away. This rivalry is well documented in an interesting documentary on YouTube, which I urge all of you to watch, even if you're not into Banksy, as it opened up an ongoing debate between graffiti and street art. Number 2, Cope vs Utah and Ether. Perhaps 3 of the most well-known names in graffiti have an ongoing beef with each other stemming from alleged snitching. International bombers Utah and Ether took a disliking to NYC legend Cope 2 after they got their hands on an apparent written statement from Cope to the police concerning them. They then posted this on their website, even though most of the critical information like names were blurred out. Although Cope 2 has denied snitching, they apparently ran into each other at some point and an altercation was had. The beef escalated as Cope 2 paid Thai writers to diss Utah and Ether's work in Bangkok, even going so far as to recreate his classic throwy for him. A lot of this beef was escalated by comments made on social media sites and different blogs by both parties, which grew tiresome at times but also helped to hype up the situation as well. Number 3, Cap vs the Rest. Well documented in the classic graffiti film Style Wars, if you haven't seen this I'm not sure what you're doing, is the beef that pioneer graffiti bomber Cap had with the rest of the NYC scene at the time. Some say jealous, others say fed up with the amount of full colour, nice looking and time consuming burners he was seeing on the train each day. Cap would go over them with quick and dirty throw ups. His ideology was one of a graffiti bomber, preferring quantity over quality, which at the time was an emerging concept in the game, and his outlaw attitude propelled the idea of bombing to where it is today. Originally, the beef was said to stem from Dondi going over some of his throws, but Cap's fuck everyone attitude would have probably made him do the exact same actions even if Dondi had never gone over him in the first place. Number 4, PJ vs PG3. A unique instance where shots were fired over graffiti beef, but definitely not the only time this has happened. This beef was in parallel with Cap's, as PJ was a friend of Cap. It started as other writers in association with Dondi were growing increasingly frustrated not being able to catch PJ for what him and Cap were doing, so threatened his sister and girlfriend. Fearing the worst, PJ staked out the crew of writers making threats against him and confronted them at a school. In a famous interview, he states they all pulled out weapons, but PJ fired the first shot, hitting PG3 by association. PJ later did time for his actions, but there are various accounts of the story due to the amount of writers involved. Number 5, Pear vs Kes 5. This beef is a good lesson in local writers not liking when out-of-towners paint in their city. New York City local Kes 5, who has been painting in the streets of NYC for years, took a disliking to writer Pear NSF when he started painting in his own city. Pear, originally a West Coast native, known for his clean throws and straight letters, ventured to New York and started leaving his trademark across the city. This didn't sit well with Kes 5, who started capping, lining and all out ragging anything of Pear's work he could get his hands on. The beef extended online, mainly through Kes 5 posting his handiwork to Instagram and stating his dislike for out-of-towners. In an attempt to perhaps put an old-timer back in his place, Pear fought back, giving Kes 5 a taste of his own medicine and capping some iconic Kes spots that had been up for ages. The beef dies down and picks up here and there, and it may have culminated with an encounter between the two, but it's interesting due to the fact that they both come from different generation of riders and have a different style of bombing. Pear more so putting up strategic, funky, and crisp throws and straights, and Kez 5 coming through with quick, dirty, and destructive fill-ins and tags. So if you don't want beef with me, go ahead and sub to the channel. Just joking, but if you did like the video, go ahead and sub anyway. I do a lot more list content like this, plus other graffiti related videos, so stay tuned for that. I tried to research as much as I could to get this info accurate, but if anyone has anything else to add, just drop it in the comments and I'm sure someone will find it interesting. Plus any other graffiti beefs or rivalries that you think should have been on this list, that'd be good to hear the story in the comments below. But until next time, thanks for watching and peace out.